Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smooches and Stabs with Pepper Basham and Jamie Jill Wright.
There's some crazy stuff going on this morning at the Jamie Wright house. So I'm just warning you guys, we're getting ready to step in deep here.
It is, I don't know what's in the air this morning. It must be close to October and Halloween because I have survived 3 attacks this morning.
Actually, Peter Pan survived one, it sounds like. It sounds like Peter Pan survived one.
Peter Pan, my son, survived one attack where apparently he was mauled by an older sister. And then the older sister survived one attack where apparently she was mauled by said younger brother. And my guess is, since they're both walking around perfectly healthy, that the mauling was more of a argument. But there's something in the air here, Pepper. And before we get into today's full-on episode, I took Foo, and everybody in the world knows who Foo is. He's my baby cat, right? And I took him outside. He's been outside before. This is not necessarily new. He just doesn't.
But it's been a while. It's been a while.
And I'm impulsive and stupid, and I don't think, right? I took him outside to let my other cats out of their little playhouse that we built for them so that they can sleep in it at night and stay warm in the winter, etc., etc. He knows the other cats. The other cats have come in. They've been around each other, not strangers. So I was not worried about a cat fight or anything like that, right? So I let the cats out and I put Foo down so that he can sniff noses and say good morning to Jupiter, which he does all the time. And he was fine. And then he turned his head and he stopped and he looked at something completely unassociated with the cats. And then he did this weird snipping thing with his nose and he started hissing. It was like there was something there he wasn't seeing. I don't know. I mean, it could be explained by the fact that we live in the woods and have raccoons and coyotes all over our yards at night.
Or he breathed something in.
He breathed something in. Anyway, dude lost his flipping mind. And I'm trying to get my house cat back in the house before he goes absolutely berserk and runs into the woods, right? So I'm willing to sacrifice life and limb until he flips around and knows he's not supposed to bite because it's not a bite. You don't bite. But he went for my face and then stopped, thinking, you could see it in his eyes, like, oh, don't do it. But I have to. I'm a cat. And his teeth grazed the corner of my jaw, just grazed. I mean, it didn't like bite in, but it grazed it enough. And dude has razor sharp teeth. So anyway, I took him inside and I have gauze all over my face now, and myrrh and frankincense and aloe, and I bathed in alcohol and I drank.
Just so you guys know who can't see this, her face is not scarred beyond recognition. Okay, she's got some bandages on the side of her neck on her jawline. So those of you who are trying to envision the now mauled face of Jamie Jo Wright, I'm trying to clarify a little bit so people will not be horrified who are just listening
or calling protective services
against the cat.
No, and the cuts they're actually a little more like, they're almost like deep paper cuts. It's not like my face is hanging off in shreds.
Although it might fit her books. But no, my book. They're not hanging off in shreds. Nothing's hanging off in shreds.
I'm just trying to figure out what's in the air.
Here.
Because then I brought him inside and I left him downstairs for a while. I thought to keep him away from the kids if he's going nuts. So I came downstairs and he kind of meowed at me like everything's normal. I went up to pet him. Once my hand got near his face, he turned on me and just hissed. Like, he didn't attack me, but he hissed and ran under the bed.
How did you get him into his crate?
I bribed him. I called him and asked him if he wanted a treat. And then anytime I open the refrigerator, that he gets like a little bit of canned cat food, and that's his treat. So I opened the refrigerator downstairs and he heard it and he came flying. And I put him in his kennel, which is, for everybody listening who's a pet lover, it's well decked out in supplies, water, food, comfy bed, litter box,
all the things.
It's large. It's not like he's being shut up. But I thought I'm going to leave him in his safe zone today. Let him calm down. And pray I don't get in it.
That sounds like it was the wise choice to do right now with his unpredictability. But I'm still at this is weird. What happened? What sent him off? What did he see? What did he smell? What did he breathe in? If we're going sci-fi, what did he breathe in?
What did he do? Exactly. I don't know. I'm kind of going with the whole Halloween haunted woods. And, if I'm honest, creepy things have happened at our house in the past, not when we've lived here, but I've heard stories about this house from previous owners who are a little bit more, I'm fictionally superstitious. Other people can sometimes be really superstitious. And I have zero evidence of this superstition, but supposedly these woods are, not normal. Maybe Fu found it.
Maybe Fu found it, or it found Fu.
This could be my first hint.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I need to talk about something else. I'm getting nervous.
Let's talk about love, baby. Let's talk about romance and you and everything. And I'm going to stop singing because it's really bad.
So I am really curious what our listeners are going to think, because some people in here that listen to us are real cat lovers, and they may have some suspicions about what's happening with Fu.
It is true. That is true.
I'm not a cat person. I like cats fine, but I'm not going to go get one. I'm a big dog person, but I'm fine with cats. We had cats in the past and they were fun and all that, but but I'm not one to know what's happening with Fu, except that
I know,
that's all.
He went from being my nice fluffy white cat to freaking out. I don't know about this.
Fu even said hey to me through Zoom before,
right?
So we're friends even.
Right, he's a nice guy. I don't know. This is weird. I also realize we're doing this recording and I don't have my headphones on, so I'm hoping we're not getting feedback in my microphone.
Well, I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, well, we'll just
sound clear to me.
Hopefully,
you sound clear to me.
This is a good podcast, and we don't have to record it all over again. But hey, welcome to the real world of Smooches and Stabs, where we professionally produce podcasts meant just for you.
Really, truly,
this is like real life podcasts.
At some point we should really do a couple of podcasts that are separate from Smooches and Stabs. Do something like Moms on the Run or something or whatever, and talk about real life family parenting, being a mom that's working other things.
That would be hard though, because I've seen your children online and they're angels.
And no, they're not. They're not. remember, social media is just that. A picture in a frame. It's a picture in a frame, right? Yeah. But I do. My kids are good kids and they're great. Yeah. I mean, I love them but they struggle with their own sin just like their mama does. So.
All right. So Pepper, now that we have established the fact that I have a haunted house and a crazy cat, and my face is not shredded, it's just bandaged right now.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really glad to say your face is not shredded while we're talking on Zoom.
Right. I did plaster myrrh, frankincense, aloe, alcohol, all kinds of stuff on it. So it's stinging a little bit. We'll see how this goes. Pray for no infection. That would be great. I'd like to not have my jaw swell up to the size of a, termite. Termite?
Yeah, I think you mean bigger, like elephant.
Elephant. What was I thinking?
I don't know. Termite, they're not very large.
This is evidence that sometimes writers fail with words.
I'm thinking whatever Fu put inside your bloodstream right now.
Oh.
Yeah, you write that, okay? I'll just go. God. I'll cheer from the sidelines going, yay, write about the cat. That's whatever, weird. Okay.
All right, Pepper, take us away. What are we talking about today besides
cats? From my neck of the woods where I grew up, there is a story about a lost treasure. Ooh. And it includes all kinds of really cool things like ciphers being created to find the treasure and disappearing people and all kinds of really cool things. So I'm going to read a little bit about it so you guys can hear. So I'm going to, if you're watching, I'm turning to read a little bit from my screen. I'm from the southwestern part of Virginia. That's where I grew up, and it's right on the line with North Carolina. So there's a county up in that southwestern part of Virginia called Botetourt County. And in Botetourt County in the early 1800s, there was a man whose name was Mr. Beale. I think it's Thomas Beale. Let me get up here and get it right. Yeah, Thomas Beale. And he left Botetourt County and went out toward the area of Colorado, and supposedly with 20 men, like 10 to 20 men from Virginia, all of them Virginians, went out and they found this treasure. They seemed to find this place that was full of gold and silver and jewels. Okay. And so no, actually, it says a team of 30 men. And they went out there and they were looking for gold. Like at that time period, everybody was looking for gold. And they happened to find a cache of it with all kinds of stuff. So sometime between 1819 and 1821, Mr. Beale, buried the treasure in Bedford County, near Botetourt, in Bedford County, which is near the Roanoke area, if any of you guys know
Okay,
Virginia.
sure. Yep.
And at what is said to be the site of Johnson's Orchard and Peaks of Otter Winery. Okay, Peaks of Otter are these beautiful, Peaks of Otter are these two twin peaks that are out in that area that people go visit and hike up on and see the view and all that kind of stuff.
Can I just pause and say right now that Virginia has the most storybook names, like Patatat County or Tattawada County,
Botetourt, Bedford, and Peaks of
Bedford
Otter.
and Peaks Otter and Otter Peaks.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Continue.
It's a very beautiful place, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure.
After burying the treasure, estimated to be worth millions, Beale and his party set out on another expedition. So they returned out west. Okay. So they've buried this treasure somewhere and they've returned out west to find more. Knowing their trip would be dangerous, Beale left 3 coded messages in a locked box with Robert Morris of Lynchburg. Lynchburg is one of the towns in Bedford, in the Bedford area. Okay. Beale promised to mail Morris a key that would help him decipher the code. That if Beale didn't return in 10 years, then Morris would be able to open up the code and get the money. Okay, get the gold.
But he had to wait 10 years. So he's sitting on this for 10 years.
Yes, he's sitting on the secret for 10 years.
What a trustworthy friend.
But the friend doesn't have the key.
Oh.
Right. Beale said he would send him the key.
Got it.
So that then he could decipher the codes. Right. So there are these 3 sheets of codes with no key. 2 millions of stuff, millions of gold, silver. The first code contained the treasure's exact location. Okay. The second code described the contents of the treasure. And the third code named the members of Beale's 30-man party along with next of kin so that it could be separated, heirs to the treasure, right?
Sure.
So that's what we know, what that was in the 3 codes. And that's what Mr. Morris said. Mr. Morris, this friend who was going to keep the secret, because of course he was getting a cut of it, right? He would keep the secret and he would get the key later so that he could, if Beale didn't return, all the people who had helped him find the gold would be able to get their parts.
Right.
All right.
Right.
To date, only the second cipher has been broken and the treasure's whereabouts remain a mystery. There have been searches and searches and searches for it for over 100 years, and no one's ever been able to find it. There was once a lady who was sure she knew where it was, and she started digging in a cemetery because she said it was buried in a cemetery, which would be a great place to hide a treasure because who's going to dig up bodies unless they're in your books. And so but then she was arrested for disturbing a cemetery and was not allowed to come back to dig anymore. Now, I am curious about whether the judge is in on something who said she couldn't come back and couldn't dig there and blocked off the whole cemetery from anybody digging there, because it makes me go, oh, what if the judge is in on this? Because this is, because this has all been, if you are from a small town in Virginia, everybody knows everybody. And that's true for most small towns.
Right.
You also have the Appalachian culture in there, which means you know how to disappear if you need to. And you are the people you trust are the people you trust with clearly millions of dollars, and they're not going to break that trust no matter what happens.
Right.
So I'm curious. It's never been discovered. It's millions of gold, silver, and jewels somewhere if it's still there in Bedford County. And there was, and let's see, I'm trying to figure out how long Beale was gone, because he was gone clearly over 10 years and never returned. Nobody knows what
Right.
happened to him. He disappeared.
And he never
And
sent the key.
he never sent the key. And what they were able to find out, so Beale never returned. Years later, according to the story, the innkeeper opened the trunk, and the trunk is what had these 3 ciphers in it.
Right.
A third, wait, hold on, opened the trunk, looked at the ciphers, but couldn't figure them out. So he gave them to a friend who was good with solving problems and puzzles. He talked to his buddy, and his buddy used the Declaration of Independence as a key to solve one of the ciphers, which was the second cipher, when they figured out what kind of treasure it was. How cool is that? The Declaration of Independence was used as the cipher.
Sounds like the National Treasure movie.
It does, but it's true.
Dang.
And
Okay.
then he tells him he figured it out, and the treasure is within 4 miles of this one town called Montvale, but he can't figure out exactly where, and he can't solve the other 2 ciphers. So the ciphers are available to look at. I'm going to share them on our Facebook group so people can kind of see what they looked like. There were a bunch of numbers. And so it's kind of like if Thomas Beale used the Declaration of Independence.
What about a
So,
constitution?
right. Or what other documents? I mean, that's really interesting. He's
Right.
this Virginia mountain man,
Yep.
and he uses the Declaration of Independence as one of his ciphers codes. So it makes you wonder, oh, what other documents would have been important enough to use?
Yeah.
Let's see. Fortune hunters have not stopped since 1885. And people have been trying to crack the code ever since.
You would think with all of our, I mean, on a serious note, all of our computer geniuses and algorithms, and I mean, they've cracked serial killers codes.
Sure. Well, and it makes you wonder, if we go back to your alien theory from
Oh
last
my
time,
gosh, here we go.
was Thomas Beale a part of the whole Noonan thing or Amelia Earhart thing, and not really a part of, I mean, was he Atlantean? Was he an alien? Was he using a code that we can't figure out because it's not part of our
No, I'm sure the
ability?
History Channel would agree with us.
Of course, the History
They have like
Channel.
aliens in history, right?
That's right. But it's really
Yeah.
curious. And what happened to him? Nobody even knows what happened to him. Thomas Beale, 10 years. And why
Yeah.
10 years? And what happened to all the other 29 people who were involved in the group? There's nothing about them.
Okay, I want to know a little bit more about this Beale guy though, because what era was this again? What was the time?
Between 1818 and 1821.
Okay. So I'm part of me questions if he's just not a prankster who
Let's
likes
see.
to mess with history.
Ooh.
I mean, think about it. If you come up with a fictional treasure and you create fictional
Ciphers.
thank you. You create fictional ciphers that don't, it's just random numbers. They're just not even really a key. And then you psych your friends out. And then you throw on this mysterious, in 10 years, I will send you the key. Well, there's no, and then disappear. Why not?
Right. Is it a big prank? Right? Is it a big prank? One of the things I think in real life probably happened is that a group of the 29 knew where it was buried and just went and got it, and it's gone anyway.
Well, that would make sense because why would you leave it?
Right, but again, that's the question. Why would you take that much back to your hometown, put it somewhere instead of a bank, right? And then wait 10 years and go back for more? Why?
I have a conspiracy theory.
Oh, I love it. Go. Does it involve a cat?
No, it does not involve a cat. But my conspiracy theory involves the idea of what if this was the beginning of the funding for the Southern Confederacy?
Oh,
Like, I
They
mean,
knew it
there
was
were rumblings.
coming.
I mean, 1864 is roughly when the Civil War started, but it wasn't
Mhm.
as though there wasn't rumblings for decades beforehand. Things are going to happen. And we know that the Confederacy did all sorts of things in ciphers and secrets and secret
Mhm.
societies, and they loved their little espionage and, early American James Bond type things.
Yep.
So why not start the Confederacy in the 1820s
Well,
with a
and you know
group of
what?
29?
But right, with a group of 29, but also it wouldn't be too far fetched. I mean, if we're thinking national treasure-ish kind
Right.
of stuff, all the stuff that the national treasure guy was looking for happened in the beginning of our country, which is the 1776-ish time
Right.
period, which
Right.
is not too far from 1818,
Right.
actually. So how could that all be entwined together? Was Thomas Beale somehow a part of this secret society with the founding fathers? And maybe this treasure wasn't found. Maybe he either took it from another group and he's hiding it,
What
or
what if the treasure was the Confederacy?
oh, what do you mean?
I mean, the plans. We assume
Mm,
treasure to be millions of dollars of gold, but if you're speaking in analogy, that millions of dollars, this is worth millions of dollars. Well,
hmm.
yeah, if the Confederacy takes over and wins the war, it's worth millions of dollars. So we are
True.
interpreting it as actual gold coin, and they're interpreting it as a philosophy that will eventually allow Virginia to be the capital of the Confederacy.
Which it was.
This sounds like a book that would you go into the library and see a book called The 29.
Yes, yes.
And it'd
Oh,
be
yes.
hardback with this weird symbol on the front, and you'd open it up and you'd read about this early conspiracy theory to start the Confederacy, and money was exchanging hands underground.
Hmm. And there were
And
codes, and
10
there were
years 10 years would put them into the 1830s, which would put them roughly 30 years before the Civil War. So
hmm.
that 10 years would raise up the next generation. That's why they needed to wait 10 years.
Oh, oh, okay, so far-fetched. What if what if this treasure, kind of like national treasure, was an
Mhm.
ancient treasure that's been constantly trying to be hidden,
Ooh.
and they don't want it to be discovered because it has secrets in it of things governments don't want us to find out about? So certain civilizations, or certain that are proven true, or
Mhm.
things like that, and they're constantly moving it around and creating theories about it around so that it'll
Yeah.
distract from what it really is.
Right. So what is it really?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a treasure, right? But what if it's treasure from like ancient civilizations, or it tells secrets of these, what really happened to Rome? How did it really fall? These are the documents of it that really happened, or all these historical theories of how civilizations changed, or
Mhm.
people were not were supposedly just died but were really assassinated, and
Right.
all these
Right.
sorts of things are a part of this. And if we go along with the national treasure idea of secret societies, then
Mhm.
this society, their goal is to protect certain historical truths from coming out,
Right.
because it will cause a huge war that we can't recover from.
I'm failing to see the romance in this, Pepper.
I know I can't. When we start talking, I get all not I mean,
I
I can be
know. I'm like,
romantic.
I'm even trying to salvage this and I can't.
Now, if we were
I know it,
thinking,
but I don't know
what
if
if, what if, what
what.
if Thomas Beale buried? Okay, no more conspiracy theory about that. The hidden treasure forever.
Okay.
What if he hid it for his fiance? Maybe she's the one who knows the cipher. Maybe she's the only one who knows the key, and something happened to her, and she couldn't figure,
Maybe
and she
she
couldn't.
is the key.
Maybe she is the key.
So he was going to send his fiance back 10
Hmm.
years later to deliver all the information because she had it up here because she was super intelligent.
Maybe she helped them find it. it
Maybe
says
she did.
20, it says a group of 29 men, but that's just saying the men. In the Bible, they don't mention the women sometimes, and the women were there. So
This is true. Or she could have been masquerading as a man.
she could have
And
been,
Gil found out that she was really a woman.
and then fell in love with her, and then gave
Aw.
her the key, and made her the key, and
Aw.
says, "You're the key to my treasure."
All right. Thanks for joining us today on Smooches and Stabs.
But in all honesty, the treasure's never been found.
This is true.
No one has been able to decipher 2 of the codes, which is, again, like like you were saying, how bizarre is that? Now there are still letters and languages that have not been deciphered, that are
Right.
ancient letters and ancient languages. So the possibility of people not being able to decipher something isn't impossible.
Right.
It just is. It seems unlikely.
Right.
But it's possible still. So what? I mean, I'm more curious about what the cipher says. Because I'm like, what kind of
Who cares about
code
the
did
treasure?
he use?
Right.
It's probably gone anyway.
Probably. Either that or it's buried under some dead body somewhere in a cemetery, which we'll never be allowed to dig in because it's
Right.
sacrilegious or something.
Exactly. Unless somebody gets really sneaky and can get in there and try to start digging it up.
Should I buy a plane ticket and come down?
That's an idea for another book for you.
No, I consider this media. 2 popular Christian authors were arrested last night after attempting to exhume century-old remains
in the hopes of finding a treasure. That for the glory of God. Not not quite work. Doesn't quite work, does it?
No, I think you're stretching it a little bit there.
But here's what I want to know. I want to know if any of our listeners have heard of this treasure before, have their own theories, and have any historical truths they want us to dig into and talk about, so we can come up with conspiracies too.
Okay.
I know that several people have mentioned Anastasia. We will get to Anastasia. We want to actually bring a guest on with us for when we talk about Anastasia. So we're going to wait on that one just a little bit.
Yes.
But I would love any of our listeners, I keep saying readers, but it's the same thing sometimes.
It works.
We have readers and listeners. You guys know what I mean. If you guys have any historical pieces of information you think we should dig into, because we look up stuff and we'll bring it. The first time we're really talking about it is right now. That's why we're both kind of like, okay, what could that be?
That's completely unscripted. New. It's not like we sit and brainstorm what we're going to talk about.
No, it's not. Especially if you remember aliens and child jumping.
I was going to say, if you think planning goes into these podcasts,
right?
Just look at my face.
Especially after Jaime has had a cat inject something into her skin.
Oh my God.
And we don't know really what's going to happen next.
If I start meowing on the next podcast, you know why. I'll become the modern day argument for evolution.
That's right. Or we'll know our conspiracy theories have taken on a much more dramatic and realistic turn.
Well, as we get ready to close out, do you have any of those interesting facts, those weird facts?
Today you don't. I don't today. Do you have something? Yeah, today I didn't have I thought about it on the way home when I had to bring a kid car into the mechanic and then get her back home. So I was thinking about what I would look up and then I forgot.
That is okay, because I don't have anything super weird to talk about except the cat thing. And I think I kind of started with it. So I think we're good.
So you guys, we are looking forward to what your thoughts are. We are also looking forward to any historical nuggets you want us to research and possibly twist out into whatever they end up becoming. And we would love to hear your theories about Thomas Beale's treasure.
Love it.
So anything else?
No, I don't think so. Visit us at facebook.com, Smooches and Stabs. And if you're not sure how to find it, you can go to my website, JamieWrightBooks.com. And I do have a page now that links to Smooches and Stabs. So that's one way to get there too, if you're not sure how to find our podcast. But if you're listening to our podcast, I think you've probably found our podcast. Anyway, other than that, I don't think I have anything. We will get this posted and we will see you all in 2 weeks with another historical mystery that somehow will involve conspiracy, chaos, and possibly some romance.
I'm gonna shoot for romance next time.
I think you really need to concentrate on this because I am not a lot of help in that area.
No, you're not at all.
I'm not. And I always take us down this devious road and then our poor listeners.
I follow you.
You follow.
I follow.
These poor listeners who are coming on here for a sweet story. We're disappointing our listeners.
Well, we love you guys. So maybe that can be the nice lovey part of our
and maybe
podcast.
That's the challenge is the listeners need to submit the romantic elements of the missing treasure of Thomas.
Do it. You guys be the romantic side of this.
Do it.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for joining Pepper and Jaime on Smooches and Stabs.